Well, Mick, it's nice to talk to you. How have you been?
I'm good, Jeremy. Long time no speak, so good to speak to you again. But yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's been a while. I want to say it's been like right before the pandemic happened. I remember I was in my hotel for Fury Wilder 2, and that was the last time we spoke.
Yeah, that's right. That's that long time, man. So
A
yeah,
long time.
always good, always good. How are you?
Good. It's great to see you back in action. Obviously you've been, I'm sure, have been talking about the previous fight a lot.
Yeah.
It was an incredible fight. I mean, looking back on it, I mean, it really, as of right now, it's my fight of the year. When you go back and you watch that, I mean, when was the first time that you actually got a chance to sit down and watch the fight?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Jeremy. I still have not watched the fight fully.
Hmm. Is
My
it?
team have and stuff, but I don't need to watch it. I kind of know my good parts, my bad parts in it, and I
Mhm.
understand, the things that went well and the things that I did wrong. So yeah, I watched little bits of it immediately after when I was in the hospital, but that was it. I only watched clips, so that's all at the minute that I want to do.
Mhm. With the amount of success that you've had in your career, from the amateur days to the Olympic medal, it's a first professional loss. I know it's got to be a completely different experience, one that you're not used to. What was the process of kind of handling that, and what were the different ways that you handled it personally?
I had to come to terms with it. It was quite tough to deal with. In the immediate aftermath, I hate losing, man. I really hate losing, and that was my first loss as a professional, and it was a hard one to take. My first time ever being knocked out. My first time ever being stopped, amateur or professional. I was stopped once on a cut, but that's not a stoppage, just an injury. Um, so it was hard. So I took myself away for 4 weeks. I went to Portugal and with my family, and just kind of went back there, regrouped, had to think about what happened. Spoke obviously with my team on a daily basis, going over things and going back and rewinding and thinking about what the good things and the bad things which happened in the fight, and how we could have played differently, why I didn't play it differently. All these little thoughts, consistently creeping up every time I was thinking about it. No, I was going to bed every night and I was thinking about the fight, dreaming about the fight, and how I wish I had played. If I had done this differently, what would have happened? If I had done that differently, what would have happened? I kind of just came to terms with it. It's the best learning experience we shall ever have. I'd done so many great things in that fight. I made a handful of mistakes. Even the sequence towards the last two rounds of the fight, before I was knocked out, there was different things at play, things out of my control. Like when I slipped in the 11th and the ref called it a knockdown. It's like the momentum swung right then because I was in control, and even then I was the one forcing the pace in round 11, and I was getting the Leigh Wood a lot in round 11. And little things happened. I slipped, and it changed momentum. He had that kind of false confidence in him, and he was able to go out and get the job done. Where my energy ended up being zapped, from what happened. So all these little things I've came to terms with, and just the only way I can put a thing to it now is that it was meant to happen that way. There's nothing else differently I could have done to
Mhm.
change it. It was meant to happen that way.
You kind of talk about how you took 4 weeks of just time with your family, a little vacation. Um, do you enter the ring after that 4 weeks, and is it just kind of like back to work? Was that kind of the attitude going into training?
No, so I went away for 4 weeks from with my, I think when I was going to be out again, and the plan was to kind of get back out in August and not worry about what just happened, because if we're going to be honest, I didn't take much damage in that fight until the last kind of punch. Was up until that, I was very much in control. It wasn't like I was Leigh Wood, who took a hell of a beating, and whether or not he's going to be the same fighter after is the question. But yeah, I think that I was fine. I know that it wasn't like a fight where I was going, oh, fuck, what happens if this happens again? It's not. It was a fight where I've let the ball slip, and I was happy enough once I focused on what we wanted to do and the next steps. And we heard it was Miguel Marriaga. I was like, happy days. That's great. That'll get me straight back into take contention with big names. So that was how I played it.
I've spoken to a number of fighters recently, including Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia, after his fight and his most recent win, talked about how the absence from the ring, he kind of started going through depression and had some dark
Yeah.
times. Do you think kind of like that idea of getting into the ring and staying active is important to kind of keep a mental mindset away from those types of thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. And I think what's important for me was that, I've been fighting consistently for my whole career. And as I said, it was not like I took, a hell of a beating in that fight. And I thought the best way to kind of bounce back without letting a loss sit and dwell on me and think about it all the time was to get straight back into the mix. And, I've seen people say like, oh, I should have took more time and stuff, but what's the point? It's not like I got badly beaten. I want to get back into the race as soon as I possibly can. And even you heard me right after the fight. When I was in the hospital, kind of recovering. The first thing I said was I wanted to do a rematch. I want the rematch right away. Now their team was a bit more, holding back on that. They didn't want to do that, but and they've held out and they're trying to get this Lewis Santa Cruz fight, but it's all with the air, so who knows? But yeah, I think that me getting back into it was very important just to keep everything flowing how it flows.
You've obviously got a tough fight against Miguel Marriaga, a very tough opponent, strong puncher. What is kind of like your goals in this fight in order to, obviously getting a win is number one, but personally for you, what do you have to see from yourself to feel like this is an overwhelming success for you?
To be honest, what I want to take from this fight is just get back to winning ways. And look good doing it, take little damage, just go in there like I do, just use my boxing skills and get the victory. Whether it comes by stoppage or KO or points, it does not matter to me. As long as I can go in, have a clean performance, take as little shots as possible, and come out victorious, I'll be happy.
Having this fight in Belfast, in your home city, as far as what that does to you emotionally, mentally, how does that impact you going into this fight?
It doesn't really impact me in any type of way, really. It's fantastic to fight at home, and I always do perform when I'm at home. But I always perform most places go. I've fought around the world my whole career, amateur and professional. So it is a special feeling, kind of in the build up. You're getting to bring big fight nights back to Belfast, and for my own fans, for my own people, it's special. But on fight night, I suppose if things are tough, they're the extra man. They're that little kind of push when you need to push, and it's nice to have that, but it doesn't affect me, good or bad.
Final question, I'll let you go. I know you got other interviews to do. One thing that obviously you can kind of always have a plan in your head of the way you want things to go. Assuming that things go the way you want against Marriaga, for you personally, would you prefer to get that rematch with Leigh Wood? Or are there other avenues that you would find equally as alluring?
Well, I'm going to be straight up. We hear once you lose, it kind of opens your mindset a bit more. It's my first loss, obviously, and everybody doesn't want to lose. The fact that that's out of the way, I don't care. I want to fight anyone. I want to fight the best fighters. I want to fight the champions. I want to be in the biggest fights, making the biggest money for the biggest belts. So, you know, if it's Leigh, I would love, listen, above all, I want the rematch 100%. But if there's other avenues there where I can go towards, you know, a belt is where I want to go. I want to get a title as soon as possible. And, you know, I don't care who it is. I don't care when it is. Don't care where it is. I'll be ready to go.
Do you think one of the reasons why that rematch, or at least maybe Leigh Wood's team wasn't anxious to make that rematch, as you said, it was a fight where, you know, there was damage done in that fight. You talked about the possibility that he may never be the same fighter again. Do you think that fight altered him, and that's maybe the reason why they're not eager to go back into that kind of war zone?
No, what I think about that fight is that they won the lottery, and you know they don't want to roll that ball twice. And even though his team, in terms of matchroom, they wanted to do it again, they wanted the rematch. His management and his coaching staff and stuff, they didn't want to do the rematch. So I understand it. I understand why they would want to do the rematch. You watch that fight and you're going, okay, there's a reason. You know, he just got his head pinged off for 12 rounds. And my opinion of Leigh Wood doesn't change. I said before the fight, he's tough and he's resilient. And he showed that in the fight, and he showed tons of it. So, you know, fantastic, fair play to him. He got him the win. The only thing that changes is I don't think he punches as hard as what I kind of thought. What done me in the end, people will say that's a funny question or funny comment because you get knocked out. But what done me in the end was my own fatigue. It was not anything to do with punch power. It was an arm punch. Said to the head, I made a defensive move where I wasn't looking where the punch was coming, so I was down here on the side. Silly defensive move, which I've been pulled before in training by my coach, and I done it. So, you know, that's my bad. That's on me. And obviously, when it's the shots you don't see that do damage, so it was one I didn't see. Say the temple, you know, not looking at the guy, and I switched my legs off. So this is just little things you got to learn. You got to roll with. I definitely don't think he punches as hard as what was made out, but he's definitely as tough and as resilient as I thought. Probably a little bit tougher.
No doubt.
Because there was many gateways for him to exit that fight, and you know he knuckled down. And one thing you got to give big credit for is the fans, because they were fantastic and they held him up. It was in his home city, I remember, so they held him up throughout that.
No doubt. Well, Nick, as always, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad we were able to connect, and I'm looking forward to see you fighting this Saturday.
Cheers, Jeremy. Hope you're well. Take care as well.